Welcome back to JHL Cinema Clash. Today we'll be discussing who has the better villain, Spider-Man or Batman. Who wants to take the first punch?
I'll let last because DC is not that strong. So
Wow.
So I can start us off in something light, just a quick question for you guys. Which villain do you think is more terrifying? Out of the Batman crew and out of your Spider-Man crew?
well, terrifying. I can say you mean like scary looking.
Nah, that's just wreaks havoc. That just insinuates chaos. That's just mad for no fucking reason.
Green Goblin. Green Goblin. Well, Batman only has Joker.
Here's the problem. Green Goblin is only crazy every now and then whenever that side of him takes over. Joker is always like that. He's always sinister.
So it's more of what's going on in his mind. What can he do? And putting that aside, I think Green Goblin will whip his ass. Point blank. He will whip his ass.
I think you're underestimating the Joker, Jay.
Okay, so let me set this straight real quick. The only part of DC I like is Batman and his villains. That's the only thing DC has. I can admit it. But pretty much they rely a lot on the Joker and Batman's prep time. That's all they have. I have way more better villains than yours because if you're depending on them, Spider-Man doesn't. He has different, and we're talking about, am I not mistaken, comic version of these guys?
Yeah. Movies or because I have a question afterwards on movies because we are called Cinema Clash.
If we discuss movies, you and I can both agree that none of the villains from the Spider-Man movies, not one of them, I don't care which one you mention. Matter of fact, you could stack them all up against the Joker and none of them come close. From a cinematic standpoint.
The one him solo run?
Hell, we can go as back as
So we're talking about his solo run or the one that he needs Batman in it? Because Venom did 3 movies.
But here's the deal. The only reason we had one Joker movie was because Heath Ledger died, right? And that version of the Joker. But we can go back to Jack Nicholson. That version of the Joker was very sinister too.
It was badass. Yeah. I agree. He was tough.
We're definitely not going to mention the Jay Leto.
Nah, that whole gangster with the Joker across his belly, like if he was Tupac, that shit was horrible.
Yeah, it was trash. I'll give you that one.
Like Joker was a thug, but not in that way. He wasn't a hood Joker. Yeah, he had gold teeth with the Joker across the belly. I'm like, who's he pretending to be, Tupac? What's going on here?
Not to defend Joker because that's not my problem. It's Laz's problem. He did fuck up that role of him. Harley Quinn was good though.
Harley Quinn, she was so good that they created a whole movie of just female villains, Birds of Prey, which wasn't good neither, but they created it because she was so good as Harley Quinn. She played in Suicide Squad. She did very good on that one as well. But I have another question for you guys. Who was the best on-scene villain? Like in a movie. Now we're talking about movies. We have Joker, we have Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Bane, or the Riddler.
Here's the deal, right? Not because I'm defending the Batman villains, but the reality is between Bane and the Joker, I can't really. I mean, those two did such a great role that they were worthy of. They should have did a whole movie just for those two, like where the movie they were the face of the movie and not just Batman. Because they were that good in the performance. So much so that a lot of people say that the highlight of that movie was the Joker. Wasn't even Christian Bale, even though he did a great role as Batman.
So I did hear that about the Batman, the Dark Knight per se, that they said that Joker and Bane carried those movies where Christian Bale, which I think is a very good Batman, but they said that he wasn't a good Batman. But I thought he was good. I'm not gonna hate on him.
My two are I can say Green Goblin and Doc Ock. They've made, and their storyline was good. I know Laz didn't like the Green Goblin one, but I like the way he played his role. I loved it completely. Yeah, and Doc Ock, his backstory of him losing his wife at the beginning of the movie, and that's why he becomes that man trying to get his wife back. He was doing this time shit, I guess it was. I think that movie was top tier in my list.
A story they stole from Freeze.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we're gonna say the story, at least do it good. You guys fumbled. You had Artis Schwarzenegger trying to do it, so we did it better. Like,
I'll say this: I'll give you one thing, right? William Dafoe did play a good Green Goblin, right?
A great. You're not gonna. I know you don't like it. I'm sorry. He was a killer.
He did a great job playing the role. I'm just not a fan of him as an actor. It's kind of like how Hyro is with Ben Affleck. That's how I feel about William Dafoe. Yeah,
Fair.
he's a weirdo to me.
Nah, but we can keep on going. And if you was to put also in comic Bane against Venom, Venom will destroy him.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think I have the upper hand also, because all of my villains have some type of power. You guys just run around with guns and mafias. Like if you look at all of the movies, Spider-Man villains is always just them. They don't have an army behind them like little soldiers running, which Batman's villains do. But that's why I consider our villains better than yours.
If we were making the argument of which one of these villains will win in a battle, most likely I would say about 7 out of 10, maybe even 8 out of 10 Spider-Man villains will win. But the storyline, right, of each one of these villains and the way these villains are portrayed, whether in the comics or in the movie, I feel like it is definitely done significantly better for Batman than it is for Spider-Man.
So let's do this then. If Joker was to go into the Spider-Man realm, right? Let's say he went into the Spider-Man realm. How much chaos would he create before Spider-Man catching him? And then, wait, let me finish my question. And then, if we was to put Green Goblin in Gotham, how much havoc would he wreak before Batman reaches and catches him? I'll let you start, Jay, since you were so hyped up.
Yeah, so the way I see it is if the Joker's there, he will create mayhem. I'm not gonna say he's not. Yeah, but I say like catching him and having a bad fight with him, hands on, it's easy for Spider-Man. It's easy going. Now creating the problem for him and trying to get him, it's gonna be bad. But him, when he has his hands on him already, it's over for the Joker. There's nothing that he can do. He's not more powerful. There's nothing. Like I said, he's just a lunatic.
So let me ask you this, since we're talking about that. Joker has caught Batman numerous times, where this guy is literally a mastermind in prep time, and he's caught Batman.
It won't matter what type of prep time he has, spider senses don't miss. The only one that messes up with the spider senses is Venom, that he can't sense when Venom is coming. So his spider senses is way ahead. Whatever Joker has planned, it will try to catch him by surprise because he's not a future teller, but it's hard to get him. It's a man that dodges bullets. And not Batman. That's why he catches Batman multiple times, is because he doesn't have that spidey sense. And it's nothing against Batman, like I say once again. DC is DC because of Batman. DC ain't shit without Batman. Point blank.
I would say this, right? Batman has the ability to deal with the mental game that the Joker plays. I don't think Spider-Man is prepped for that. For one, he's always portrayed as a kid, right? He has powers. He has spidey senses. They're great. I agree. But I don't think he's going to be able to deal. By the time Spider-Man figures out that the Joker has Aunt May hanging off of a goddamn cliff, it'll be too late. He won't be able to do shit. And that's the thing. That's the reason why I think the Joker would definitely destroy Spider-Man. He won't be ready to deal with that mental game that the Joker plays. Batman, on the other hand, is used to it. And he's always anticipating what his game plan is.
Not with someone like Green Goblin. You can't. Like Green Goblin, he is almost as smart as Batman. And he's going around causing mayhem with superpowers because he has strength. Also, because he has that serum in him.
I'm going to say what Heido say. Look at my face. Look at my face. To say the Green Goblin can deal with Batman is crazy, Jay. You make a good argument. He is very intelligent. He has the means in terms of, strength and all of his gadgets. Bro, in his belt alone, he has enough to deal with the Green Goblin.
I feel like you're just getting Green Goblin from the movie. You're forgetting about the Green Goblin from the comics, that he's one crazy motherfucker. You cannot take that away. He's going to cause problems he's going to take Robin on his lap and Batman's going to cry. I need my Robin. And to another point, Spider-Man doesn't need a sidekick like Batman or a butler.
He has a Mr. Stark who literally gave him an iron suit because that suit he had, well, Tony was like, man, that ain't shit, bro. You got to put you up on game here.
All right, guys. So if you guys had to build your ultimate villain team, right, picking 5 of your villains, because we both know that you guys have one of the biggest galleries of villains that there is, let's be honest, where You guys can name probably 20 fucking villains from each side of the spectrum, you know? What five would you pick? What's your five favorite or your five biggest hitters of your franchises? Laz, we'll start with you.
I'm gonna go Joker as my number one, of course. Yeah. I'm gonna go Ra's al Ghul as number two, and then I'm gonna go Bane as number three. We're gonna go the Riddler as number four, and then I'm gonna go with Two Face as number five.
Okay, and before you start, Jay, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I don't care what nobody says. Jim Carrey played an amazing Riddler. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. One of my favorite characters. His laugh was iconic, and the way he portrayed the character, I thought was amazing.
He'd be great in a reboot.
For sure, for sure.
So if I'll pick Green Goblin, Doctor Ock, Venom, Carnage, Electro, and Mysterio.
Okay, and so I'm gonna give y'all honorable mentions for both sides because these are characters that I like, right? So Mr. Freeze, right, one of my favorite. Penguin, one of my favorites, and Danny DeVito played an amazing part. And as a Penguin, that motherfucker made me believe he was the Penguin. And then on Jay's side, you know, Rhino is one of my favorite characters, and so is Scorpion. Both villains dope as fuck.
You have also with mines, you have Craven, Lizard, you have Shocker.
Like I told you, you can go probably 20 villains. I was just mentioning the characters that I enjoyed growing up as a kid, you know, when I watched, and I keep telling Glass to watch Batman the Animated Series. But when I watched that, like, Clayface was dope, Mr. Freeze was dope, Penguin was dope, and then obviously Spider-Man, Rhino was dope, and my boy Scorpion. Both of them hell of characters. Comics, and so far they haven't really came out in movies for Spider-Man, but in the comics they were amazing villains, and in the cartoons they were amazing too.
So right now with my top five, I could put easily if they're fighting against each other, my five against your five, they could be individual or together. I feel like my top five will, one, outsmart, and two, they are way stronger.
So I don't know about outsmart. Here's the thing, and this is me just being a mediator between both. In reference to smarts, I want to say Batman's villains are probably top tier smart, and I mean in the sinister way, where they're gonna grab your mom's grandma and fucking tie her up and dangle her for you to come, and you yourself come to sit down and be caught. Now, in reference to outpowering your squad, the Batman villains don't have a chance in hell. If it was just my five versus your five, they're gonna get Hulk smashed by your team. That I will give you.
What you're forgetting here, we're talking about villains. We're not talking about superheroes. I have villains that do not give a fuck. We have villains that do not give a fuck. Point blank. What? You have nothing? Nothing. None of your villains have nothing over me what they have over Batman. They're not fighting Batman. If I put my five in Batman's world, Batman is over with. It is too much to handle at once.
We're talking about the man that took out the Man of Steel and the Justice League all at once. Jay, look at my face.
Spider-Man, he will have, I'm not saying he's not going to have problem with your five, but it would be way more easier with your five against my five that are superhumans that have powers, Laz. I'm not saying that the villains of Batman are bad. They are not. They are great. I love them. They are the only reason why I love DC. I am telling you this, but they are not better than, let me. They are not better than my villains. They are not. I am sorry to tell you.
Here's what I'll say. I'll say this because, again, if the topic here we're talking about most iconic, right? And, you know, in terms of storytelling, like if you were to go to just your random person who knows nothing about comics, rather that be Marvel or DC, and you ask them about a villain in a superhero movie, I guarantee you the first name coming up in that's going to be the Joker. It's going to be Bane. Not too many people know about these villains in Spider-Man unless you're in the know and you know about comics.
They know Dr. Ock. They know. You cannot tell me that. You can't. They know villain. They know Venom. Whoever doesn't know Venom lives under a rock. Green Goblin.
Venom, I give you.
Who doesn't know Green Goblin? Doc Ock. They are powerhouse names. You can't tell me they're not. Look, wait. My senses are tingling. You're bullshitting. You can't tell me.
Oh,
me.
I'm fucking crying. Listen, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys. To me, there's a lot of good in between both sides. I'm gonna be honest with you. And to Laz's point, the most iconic villain of all time is the Joker. Most iconic, hands down. That week, there's nobody can say anything about that. It's between him and Thanos is not a Spider-Man villain. But to me, the two most iconic villains are those two here, the villains, right? Now, the more consistent villains of all time, I believe I'm gonna give the edge to Spider-Man because you have characters like Venom where you learn to love this villain, right? Where you're like, damn, this guy, I understand why he's doing this. You know, I understand why he's a prick, but you know, he reminds me kind of a Deadpool, but with Spider-Man powers type shit. Where I'll kill this motherfucker. I don't really give a fuck about this guy. If he's doing bad, I'm gonna kill him. That's just what it is.
You know what's crazy is you mentioned a couple of villains that I actually had in the list of villains that I know casual fans will struggle to get past. And that's Green Goblin, Venom, and that's where it ends. Like, they're not going to know Sandman. They're not going to know Craven. They're not going to know Scorpion. These are all villains that are iconic in Spider-Man, I would say, right? Because we know about them. But your average non-comic fan they're not going to know about that. Where you ask them about Batman, they're going to hit you with a list. At the very least, 3 to 4 of them. Because the Riddler is one of them. Thanks to Jim Carrey, by the way.
That's my guy. To me, that's my Riddler. I don't know who the other guy is that they just brought out in that Robert Pattinson Batman. There's a Riddler in there for some reason, but I didn't get through it. I shut the shit down. I couldn't watch it. It was trash.
We also have one of the heavy hitters that we did not mention that a lot of people have to know is Kingpin. He plays in both sides, in Daredevil and in Spider-Man. And if I'm not mistaken, he was there at Spider-Man first. He was one of Spider-Man's.
I'll give you this. He would have been in my top if I was arguing on your side as one of the top villains. But he is still one of the villains that I promise you non-comic knowers won't know about him. Unless they've been watching Daredevil. But even then, because now I guarantee you the people who do know of Kingpin, they're going to know him as Daredevil's villain. They're not going to know him as Spider-Man, which, by the way, I think Sony has dropped the ball there because they should have been introduced Kingpin into Spider-Man. That would have been more entertaining to watch than Doc Ock, than, I'm not going to say Green Goblin, but it would have been better to watch than that damn lizard.
His story is a little bit more complicated, and I feel like they're doing it justice with having him with Miles Morales.
True.
I want to see it in a live action.
Yeah, but that animated, I don't care. That Into the Spider-Verse was fire. Fire as hell.
I'm going to say something, Hyro, I'm sure is going to agree. That was better than No Way Home.
Yeah, but you know how I feel about No Way Home. Plus, the storyline behind Miles Morales was dope. And it also doesn't help that I'm Puerto Rican and Miles Morales is Puerto Rican. So you already know I'm standing here like this. You already know the vibe.
And I just want to put this out there. My black cat is better than Catwoman.
I don't know about more.
I'm gonna be honest with you though.
I just want to say,
I don't know about more iconic.
You made a good point there, Jay. In the comics, and again, your average Joe Smoke don't know about the comics like that, brother.
So not only did Halle Berry play an amazing Catwoman, right, but Michelle Pfeiffer, right, the old school with Michael Keaton Batman, her Catwoman. The way that series starts, that movie starts, where she falls and the cats go around her, bro, fucking fire. One of the most iconic scenes that I remember as a kid growing up, and I was like, yo, she's badass. She made me believe like she was Catwoman. Halle Berry, another amazing job. Anne Hathaway, I I could have done without. But she played a good part, not to the extent of Halle Berry, not to the extent of Michelle Pfeiffer. To me, those are the best two Catwomans that's came out in any cinema of Catwoman.
So I feel like if they make a movie of Black Cat, it'll be pretty good because she has powers and she's like Black Catwoman. What with powers? That's about it. I think it'll be a pretty good movie.
She had the upper hand to make a better version of Catwoman, and she didn't. She did a good job. And I say the upper hand because she was one in a heavy hitting movie that did fantastically well. She also had the upper hand of the graphics and all that shit to make her fight scenes look better. A badass suit, and again, to your point, she did good enough for the movie.
Exactly. She did good. It wasn't that it was slop, right? It wasn't that I was like, why is she even in this movie? It wasn't that.
It didn't become iconic either.
It just wasn't that where I felt like, man, she played a major role in this film. She played a great role in this film. I didn't feel that when I saw Anne Hathaway as Catwoman.
Going back to the subject, I understand Batman has good villains, but he has some trash ones too. I found out recently that he has a villain named the Calendar Man. Bro, the Calendar Man. What power does he have? Like he skips days? He has another villain that he has a puppet on his with the old man. He has a puppet. That one I got to see on TV.
I feel that I feel that way about Scarecrow. I'm not a fan of Scarecrow. And people love Scarecrow, but I don't like Scarecrow.
So, because you didn't watch the Batman animated series, I keep telling you.
I have watched it, Heido.
He's dope, for real. I like him.
Here's the thing, Jay. You can't say that, right? When Spider-Man has villains called the Big Wheel, he has guys named the Wall, you know. So they both have guys that you're like, what are we doing with this? He has one that's called the Kangaroo. I just want to let you know. There's a villain in Spider-Man called Kangaroo. And and you know what's his power? Jumping really well. I kid you not.
Spider-Man has Hammerhead. You forget about that, dude?
Yeah. So there's, with the trash villains, there's iconic villains for both sides. I'm gonna be honest with you, where one of my favorites, and I know Jay's been with Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Venom, right? Those were the major ones that he brought up. But to me, Carnage, when I was growing up, was one of I liked Carnage more than I liked Venom when I was a kid. In the cartoons, I thought he was a fucking he was a demon. He reminded me of Joker with powers.
Yeah.
Where it was just chaos. I don't care about anything else but chaos. I don't care about being good, being bad. I just want to create chaos, and that's something I loved about Carnage. Carnage was dope to me.
Yeah, he was chaos all the way. He had no fear with destroying anything. He was a bad motherfucker. And the one that I didn't mention that I wasn't to mention also is Hot Goblin. He was one bad motherfucker also.
I actually was telling Laz this on my ride home from work today. I was like, yo, one of the dope villains that Spider-Man has is Hobgoblin, and he doesn't get talked about a lot too, but he's actually dope as fuck. They try to make him a better version of Green Goblin, but to me, Green Goblin top tier, but he's definitely in the running up there, you know?
We even have Kraven. I know the movie wasn't that good, but Kraven was badass in the comics and in the cartoons also. Kraven is crazy. Also on Lizard, when he's trying to find out how to get his arm back and he turns into the lizard. One badass character also.
I forgot to mention, look, because since Jay brought in the ridiculous villains of everybody, I just want to let you know, Laz, because you laughing over there too much. You know, Batman has a kite man, right? Literally a kite man. He has a condiment king. Just to let you know, condiment king.
Hey, listen, on both sides, there are filler villains, right? At some point, you got to fill in all the different storylines. You can't always be hearing about the Joker, Bane. Like, that gets old very quickly. So, and that's how we end up with the Kite Man.
Well, you ended up with you guys. You guys have Professor Pig also. You guys are forgetting Batman has Professor Pig, but Professor Pig is cool because he's just chopping up. I'm not gonna say what, but
You do know Spider-Man has a Porky Spider-Man, right? Spider Pig.
Spider Pig, Spider Pig.
You guys have a pastor?
Yeah, but you also have White Rabbit. That's an Alice in Wonderland themed criminal, Jay, in Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Just want
but
to let you know.
well, we have the rabbit.
Like I said, there's two. If we can, I can give you a fucking top tier of a bunch of killer villains, and then I can give you a next 20 of y'all and be like, what the like Condiment King is crazy for Batman.
I think this was a great debate, and we should absolutely run this back again. I love these DC Marvel conversations.
We'll definitely bring back something similar to this. Maybe not those same villains, but definitely maybe a different hero versus hero type shit. If you like this kind of content, go ahead and follow, like, subscribe. And if you don't, you already know the vibe.